absolutely everybody has a dark side. And if that makes you uneasy, it's most likely because you've been taught by society, by culture, by other people that having a dark side can mean bad. So first of all, we need to loosen the connotations associated with the dark, the mysterious, the unseen. So take a few deep breaths and check in with yourself to see if you're carrying negative associations with the word dark or your dark side, your shadow side. If that's freaking you out, you have some shadow work to do. And shadow work is, to put it into a simple, quick explanation, is where we go deep into the shadows of our soul, of our psyche, and we take out the trash. That's shadow work in a nutshell. You can research shadow work. Teal Swan has some really good resources and videos on shadow work. I've recorded some videos as I was doing shadow work, so I could be an illustration of how deep and profound and how how unsettling and inconvenient and troublesome shadow work can be. But ultimately, why would we do it? We do it because it eventually leads to freedom, right? We're unpacking stuff. We're unpacking our trauma. Our inner child wounds are being brought up into the fresh air so that they can heal, so that we can move on. So the trick is, the tip I would give you around shadow work is not to get trapped or lost in it. So it's good to explore the shadow. It's good to know your shadows. It's good to have that awareness around the shadow self, but not to overly attach or overly identify with our issues to a point where it becomes restrictive or limiting. And if you're struggling with this, you should work with a renowned healer like myself who can help you to unpack safely, securely, and in a very clear, loving, compassionate way. And that's another tip with shadow work. Keep yourself wrapped in self-love, in compassion, because as the shadows erupt, as they come to surface, as they come out to play, there can be a tendency to go into self-abandonment mode or rejection, because the truth is those parts of you wouldn't have been pushed into the shadows if you had have loved them initially. If you were able to embrace them and say, this is just a part of me, this is an issue I have, this is a pain from childhood, and I'm going to love this part of me, it never would have become a shadow, right? It wouldn't have had to be unseen and rejected and put away, out of sight, out of mind. So that's the whole point, that we are shining the light upon our shadows. And what happens to a shadow when you turn on the light? The shadow disappears. So the darkness in that sense, in shadow work context, is the absence of the light. And that's all it is. So if you work with a light worker, they can turn on your light or help you even better. I will teach you how to turn on your light, turn on your own light. But I want to look at another aspect of the dark side, our dark side, and particularly the dark feminine. So not just relating to women here, everybody has an aspect of masculine and feminine yin yang energies. So everybody has a dark feminine. And everybody has a dark masculine too, whether it doesn't matter what gender you are. So the dark feminine has been really hidden. And I feel that, well, I feel in general, the feminine, the divine feminine has been pushed into a Pandora's box for many, many years. And I feel like that's finally coming to light. And only in the last few years, I feel like the Me Too movement and other pro-divine feminine empowerment activities or highlighting groups have really helped. But I'm not even talking about extreme feminism here, because I think that can go too far in my opinion. But I'm talking about the feminine, being a woman and what that embodies. I think that in the Western world and in other cultures as well, there is a denial of the feminine. So what can happen there is a lot of the natural, organic, feminine gifts get relocated into a dark room and they're locked away, right? You know the story of Bluebeard. If you don't know the legend of Bluebeard, I highly recommend you read the book Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, because she explains from a psychological point of view beautifully what Bluebeard is about and how it's about cutting off parts of our femininity to be in the world or to have a relationship or to be married or to try to bend and please society's view of how a woman should be. I need a drink. It's very hot today. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a slurper. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why people do. It's not like I'm here making, it's kind of natural to slurp. Children do it. So to me, it's a fairly innocent act. So I really don't care if that offends anybody. Now, actually, that was the dark feminine right there. I didn't even plan that. Nothing of this is planned. That was the dark feminine. The dark feminine is unapologetic. She's comfortable in her power. She knows her nature. She knows what that involves. She embraces it. She embodies and embraces the pain of the feminine. She understands that her body is this incredible vessel. She appreciates that her vagina is a portal. Like, we're actually walking around with a magical, cosmic portal between our legs. It's amazing. This portal has always fascinated me and always demanded my respect and my love and my compassion. And I've always felt this innate instinct to honor that part of myself, and you should too. I had a client once who had a big issue with the portal between her legs. She felt it was awful, it was ugly. She just could not make peace with it. And when we did some counseling, some talk therapy around it, we eventually unraveled that it went back to a memory in her college days where this young man decided to tell her that he didn't find her portal attractive, that it was ugly, and that she shouldn't be proud of it and she shouldn't share it and whatever. And I had to show her how this was the toxic, dark masculine trying to tap into her own insecurities and fears and wounds to control her and abuse her. And we were able to work through that wound, and we were able to go deep into that shadow and turn the light on and help her see that that part of her is every bit as beautiful as every other part of her. And it's every bit as worthy of love as your eyes, your lips, your breasts, your arms, your hands, you know, your hair. It's all equal and it all deserves your love. So if you're saying mean things to any part of your body, you've got to look at that even logically, okay? Your body knows, and your body is listening, and your body is a living, breathing organism. So if you're talking smack to your body is going to take that in and it's going to reflect that back to you. So you have to, don't even make jokes. I don't want to hear people making, you know, it saddens me when I hear people saying mean things about themselves. I have a work colleague and she said, oh, I'm really, really hot, you know, because we've been having a lot of hot weather here in Ireland. And she said, I said, you know, take off your cardigan. She had a dress on, and a short sleeve dress. And she said, oh, no, I hate my arms. And she kept saying it. And I said, why would you hate your arms? Your arms have raised 3 of your children, lifted them up, held them, hugged them, loved them. These arms have nurtured, fed and cared for other people's lives, for your parents, for your sick mother, for your partner, for your growing kids. It's scrubbed toilets and hoovered the home and made a nest. It's being part of acts of kindness, generosity, your arms, your hands. Like, listen to what you're saying to yourself. And she paused and, never thought about it like that, she said. Eventually she took off her cardigan so she could cool down, which was great. But the point is, from a really higher perspective, from a self-loving, compassionate, kind perspective, would you say that to a 4-year-old child? Cover up your arms, they're awful. No. No matter what was going on with their arms. So why would you say it to yourself? Just because we get bigger and bolder doesn't mean we don't carry that innocence inside and that need to be loved and to be cherished. So it's really important that we remember that, and that we talk sweetly to ourselves and kindly to ourselves. And I'm not saying lie to yourself. You don't have to lie to yourself, but at least be peaceful with yourself and work on the parts of you that you're not so comfortable openly loving. Work on that, okay? Even in your own privacy, standing in front of a mirror naked is really good. And just scan your body and just love every part. Just go through your body and just love every single part of yourself, okay? And I say this as someone who is by no means, when I look in the mirror, am I satisfied going, oh yeah, like, you know, I look fantastic. But I know that this is my vessel, my soul chose it, and I'm at peace with that. And it's really important that I use it to my advantage. And in order for it to be working and strong and flexible and willing, it needs love, it needs nurturing, it needs nourishment and kindness. So, okay, I meant to talk about the dark feminine, and I've ended up going down a different rabbit hole. But in some ways, it's still very connected. Get a little tickle in my throat. Somebody watching this right now is like choking on the idea of having to love some part of themselves. They're thinking, oh, I don't want to look in the mirror naked. And that self-expression is, I feel like I'm picking up on that for someone who's freaking out at the thoughts of honouring, especially maybe the sexual parts of themselves, which I think, depending on what generation you grew up in, that can be harder for some generations more than others. So, the dark feminine, she loves her portal. She loves every hole, crevice, crease, mark, skin. She is the goddess, right? She is the dark goddess, the dark moon goddess. She is, if you could, I can't think, there's a dark moon goddess name. There's a few from different cultures. If you can remember one, can you put it in the comments? Because I'd like to remember that name. What is it? Oh, dark moon Lilith. That's one. Now she's a really good example of the dark moon, of that dark feminine. She's not afraid to kill what needs to die. So we also have Kali, that's a Hindu goddess of death and rebirth. So the thing I love about life, about the goddess, is the death is always connected and followed by rebirth. And again, in the book, Women Who Run with the Wolves, one of the best books ever written, this theme of birth, death, birth, that is just, it comes up all the time in all our stories. It comes up in all our cycles. It comes up in our bodies. You know, we have, our bodies go through cycles. A woman's moon cycle goes through, we have the birth of the start of the cycle, then we have ovulation, then we have the death of that egg, and then we start again. So the dark goddess understands this, and she's not afraid. She's not afraid of her blood. She's not afraid of her body. She's not afraid of the death and destruction of that's inherent in nature, okay? So the patriarchal society has painted this view of the feminine as all these light things, and very two-dimensional, may I say. So it's the maiden phase that's often portrayed, and it's over agreeableness, and it's passivity, and it's submissiveness. And if you're only nurturing those very, small parts of being feminine, you're missing the bigger picture, and you're also not connecting to the bigger mystery. So the feminine is mysterious. The feminine does hide somewhat, she's, the dark feminine is, she knows when to be obscure, but she also knows when to reveal and when to open herself in all her glory. So we see the dark feminine at play when a woman is giving birth, right? She has to surrender to the pain of that experience, and she also has to surrender her body to open and to reveal itself, so that this new soul can come through the portal, can be born of the vessel. It's the same when you have a period. You have to let go. You have to let the blood flow. You have to be in your moon. You have to surrender to that cleansing process and be quiet and be still, and maybe cry and eat foods that please you, that bring you pleasure and joy. And a lot of women really enjoy sex around that time, because I think subconsciously there's this lifting of the fear of getting pregnant. So there's more freedom in it, right? You can, even though you can still get pregnant if you have sex during your period, I know lots of women that did, but it's less likely. So there's just that little bit more relief and freedom and flexibility, which is wonderful. So if you are somebody who's only tended to the passive, very male idea of the feminine, you are pushing parts of yourself into the shadow. So as a woman matures and steps into her power, that also filters into all areas of her life. So it's going into her work life, it's going into her sexuality, it's going into her creative endeavors, it's going into her friendships. And something I noticed when I turned 40 was this newfound sense of power and voice and assertiveness and owning my boundaries and owning my feelings. And I'm still expanding that. I'm still growing that and developing that. And I'm sure we all will be for the rest of our lives. But I can feel the dark feminine from God blossoming in me to say, you deserve the best. You deserve a big energy, a big love that can match you. And you have a right, anything that's beneath that and that doesn't match your energy, you've every right to say no. And I think when you're a much younger girl and you grow up in the society and generation I did, we were taught to be good girls, to be agreeable, okay, yes, to say yes to everything. And it was a very, very conflicting, confusing message. Because on one hand, we were taught, be agreeable, be polite, be mannerly, say yes. On the other hand, we were taught, say no to boys, don't let them do this, don't feel any sexual feelings, be pretty, be attractive, but don't entertain any sexual energy, which is really conflicting. Like, how is a young girl supposed to navigate that, okay? And you'll see that at the time, or even now, in the pop culture, that will be reflected back. You'll see it in films, you'll see it in a Britney Spears video. You look at a Britney Spears video from the late 90s, 2000s, and, you know, she claims to be a virgin, and she's claiming to be all these things that society wanted her to be, which was all bullshit. It was all part of a marketing thing anyway. But yet she's pornographic, she's quite, sexual in her videos. So again, it's mixed messages, and there's no inclusion. It's like you're getting little portions of it and they're all mixed up. And instead you should be getting the whole pie. You should be getting the entire experience of the feminine, which is the light and dark, which is the powerful embodiment of, I know my nature, I know who I am, and I know what I want, and I know what pleases me, and I know what doesn't. And being able to say, that is not what I want, but this is what I want. Instead of just being this flaky, paper thin, agreeable, two-dimensional version of a virginal patriarchal idea. So the great thing is, as you go into your 30s, as a woman, in my experience anyway, your kundalini it just flows in so naturally. And then of course your 40s is your sexual peak as a woman. So your sexual identity or your sexual connection is so deeply rooted and natural and deep and powerful and mysterious, but also there's no fear around fully expressing it. So it's a beautiful journey. And I'm sure that the masculine has its own version of this journey, and I would love to hear about that. So if any of you are doing videos or want to share in the comments about your own dark masculine, which I'm sure is equally as fascinating. But I think the dark feminine doesn't get a lot of airtime. I don't think she is respected or acknowledged or valued yet. I think we have a long way to go with this. I mean, I have a lot to say about it, and I've already gone over time. So maybe I'll do a part 2 on this if you're interested in going much deeper into this. The dark feminine, what it means, how you can tap into it, how you can receive that part of yourself and welcome that in. Because remember, we need the dark to enjoy the light, and it's all of equal value. And again, the dark doesn't mean bad. The dark is just the mysterious hidden parts of ourselves that are meant to be personal. You know, when I see other women, especially this trendy, fashionable thing with young girls, where there's no mystery. The clothes are, everything is everything is on show. Like, they practically look naked. And it's not even, I've so many times, like my previous boyfriend used to say it all the time. He'd say, oh my God, like these girls are all look naked. Like, it's disgraceful. I don't know where to look. Like, I can see what they had for dinner. You know, that's a complete disrespect to the feminine, because there's no mystery and there's no honor and there's no, if you have to shove something down someone's neck, if you have to scream it from the rooftops, you're out of balance. Your femininity is out of balance. You shouldn't need to shove your body parts on top of people. And if you feel the need to do that because you're needing attention, because you're needing validation, there we go, that's a shadow. So I see a lot of young women with a lot of shadows about their bodies, about their sexuality. Your sexuality, at the end of the day, it is very personal. It's not casual. It is deep. It is intense. It is juicy. It is gorgeous. It's beautiful. But it's personal. And it's for you, and it's for someone you choose to share that with. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it there. But I have lots to say about this. And again, these are just my opinions. I chat to Spirit about this. Me and my group, the Angelic Collective, I channel the Nameless Ones. I've had lots and lots of conversations about this. And again, it's all free will. And I'm not a prude, by the way. Not at all. I can appreciate a beautiful dress on a beautiful woman as much as the next guy. But what I'm seeing is not that. What I'm seeing in younger females is a desperation. That's what it is. It's a desperation. And it's sad. There's something sad about it, and there's something needy. There's something very needy about it. And it must be very limiting, because when I was that age, I was quite free, and you know, don't get me wrong, I always like to look nice, and I mean, I'm a girl, I'm a girly girl, I mean, check it out, you know, I like to dress up, I love dressing up. But I respect my sexuality, and I'm in charge of who I share that gift with. And I think somewhere in this fake liberation, that's gotten lost. The mystery, the beauty. With men and boys too, big time, with all humanity. And the dark feminine, I feel like she wants to bring that back into balance. So now, I will leave it there. Some food for thought. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Signing off from me and the Nameless Ones. Bye bye.